There we are. Oh, oh that's fun.
Oh boy.
Okay, before it all disappears.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Molly.
Sending him up to you.
Thank you so much. Get that mess out of your way, Molly.
We aren't late.
No.
I mean, we're not late.
Professional.
Da da da. Come on, come on.
Hi, Rose. You remember
I may
Molly?
Oh, I'm so glad to see you. Hey, I gotta get my hearing.
Okay. I'm well, Rose.
Good. And you talk good.
Thank you. And you.
I can't get my hearing aid in right. Mwah. It's a new day.
Around. Mark Weiss.
Mark Weiss.
Mark Weiss.
Mark Weiss.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, look at you. Look
The guest of honor, the guest of honor.
How are you?
Good. So nice to do this. You remember Carolyn the
Look at us.
Sure.
Aren't we something?
Aren't we something? Hey, Mark.
Hi, how are you?
Wow.
You look great.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, we're all here.
Hello, I'm Molly Muller.
Molly and Nina Parikh from the
Hi,
Brookdale
Nina.
Center.
How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you.
meet you.
Oh. Now you have some
It's not like I have no money or resources.
You prove him wrong.
And it
Exactly.
extends to my hearing.
How's the program going?
Oh, look at you. Oh,
Is it still at the New Yorker Hotel? Oh my God, Bill! I hope she.
Oh, yeah.
Took a while.
I just got my
So I figured out.
Nothing much is new. Same old, same old. I'm actually in the midst of helping my girlfriend plan her wedding.
The Underback. We always have so much in common. It's great to see. So do you.
Thank you very much.
Oh my God.
And thank you for helping me very.
That's Dan Fisher. Hello, Dan. How you doing?
Oh, it's also. But not exactly.
No, it was right.
My dear.
Right when he left.
So, I spoke to Caroline. That's a compliment. I'll take that. You got a good crowd here. Very grateful. But I want you to hear it. So,
He used to be in home health. He's funny. He's introducing himself.
How are you? How are you? Better? That's good. Good to see you.
He didn't make a lot of
You look so suave.
That's Adele Goldberg. Adele Goldberg.
Oh, you mean friendly.
Around the table, we have a kind of a quasi-program here today, and we'd like to begin that, and then we will continue and let the rumpus begin. But
Was that you?
that was me, and I didn't even have a loudspeaker. I was in a restaurant recently with my beloved wife of 42 years, and she said, "Rick, would you speak up? There's still a few people in this restaurant who can't hear you." So, that's a true story, by the way. I am so glad. I can't tell you how glad I am to see everybody here. I have to say, and Rose knows this, I'm going to talk really loud because we have only one hearing aid, not two, and you're working on it.
And one is not in.
And one is not in, but she's working on it. And I want to go back memory lane to 1974 when I first met Rose, and December 1st when I started at Brookdale. I was the first employee, and when I came into Hunter College, this what seemed to me like an older lady, much younger than me now, ran up the hall and said, "Are you going to be with us?" And she hugged me, and I had I said, "Ay, what is this?" And that was the beginning of my career as a Shabbos Goy.
A clash of cultures.
And I've been learning ever since.
Is there anybody who doesn't know what a Shabbos Goy is?
Well, we'll have a continuing education tutorial. Where's our elder hostel? But we'll do that later on. It is really such a great occasion to be here. We're here. We're going to be here for the remainder of the evening. But we wanted to do something because this is all in honor of Rose, and we know that Rose has so many events and so many honors. I'm sleeping on her couch here, and the living room is just filled with plaques and all these. It's true. She'll admit it. But and we used to joke about Rose and her 500 closest friends, but the reality is that these are really the friends. So we thought that we'd begin with the poet, and with an offering that he has developed, written, produced, wherever these things come from, who knows where they come from. And after Mark shares with us this poetry, then we'll have a little opportunity for each person to go around the room. I know you've all prepared your lengthy speech. It's not lengthy, but it's just a little detail, and Carolyn Zablotny will explain how we're going to do this. And I specifically want to pay tribute to Manny Daum and Molly Muller and Carolyn Zablotny, who worked with us on this committee to develop this, and it's the best. So with no further ado, let me turn things over to Mark.
Thank you. It's not poetry, it's prose. I feel incredibly grateful to have been asked to do this. It was a bit overwhelming at first, but let me just read it. I wish I knew all of you. There are many I don't know, but anyway. Rose.
Yes, darling.
Dear Rose, for this reunion, we have to thank Menachem, who worked closely with Rick, Carolyn, and Molly in organizing it. They've asked me to write something for the occasion, if the spirit moved me. The spirit... Yes.
That's God.
The spirit that moves me heaves itself towards speech with an awareness of your indelible presence in all of our lives. an awareness that the only fitting tribute to you is the assemblage of all the images we each carry of you, specific memories out of whose convergence there emerges a vivid, all-around portrait of the remarkable person we all recognize as you. This collective emphasis is important, but it leaves out something equally important, and that is the aspect of you that predominates for each of us because of the particular grain of our own temperament. Bob Dish's Rose, whom I know intimately, is not quite the same as Marilyn Howard's, whom I also know somewhat intimately, or Menachem's Rose, though they have a great deal in common. And Rick's Rose has a depth and intimacy that others who didn't work with you so intimately and for so long can perhaps imagine, but we can't personally document it. And even this emphasis leaves something out.
Yes.
And that consists, and you'll tell me whatever else it leaves out that I didn't get.
Looks like you did the ganze Geschichte.
The ganze Geschichte. All right. That's good. And that consists of the unique and idiosyncratic moments we each experienced with you that in small and large ways enlarged our vision of what we are here for and changed the course of our lives.
Yes.
Rose, amen. Rose, as the visionary leader and extraordinary institution builder, has received many honors as awards, all of them richly deserved for a lifetime devoted to one great central concern. But only we who worked with you, Rose, day in and day out, know you as the inspirer, the courage teacher, and mentor who brought us all together at Brookdale, that endlessly innovative, daring, polymath, transformational world it won't quite do to call a university gerontology center, though it certainly was that, and it was a great one at that. And this infused us with the high spirits that you exuded, for it meant we were changing not only how things go in our profession, but also in the larger society. Our common ideals, what Carolyn speaks of as the call to service, our need to do good, these were provided with a sphere of meaningful action, a secular sphere of the spirit, to invoke the spiritual emphasis that Rick powerfully brought into our thinking about late life development. As we lived it day to day, Brookdale combined the rigor of a laboratory of new knowledge and practices, the social action of an NGO, and the spaciousness for the free play of the imagination and erudition that I used to think of as something of a Renaissance court, which made you, Rose, the Medici among us.
Oh, honey.
That's good, that's good.
I first met Rose in 1975, half a lifetime ago, as a student in the Hunter one-year residency program. I stopped by her office to say hello since I was working in the field of aging. She was sitting in her stocking feet talking to Alfred on the phone. She motioned for me to sit down and went on speaking with great joy and animation to her beloved Alfred about his new radio tower. And I had never met a professor such as this one, who didn't put up a carefully crafted shield between her personal life and her vocational one. It was all one continuous linking of all that she loved and valued and sought. It was that refusal to segregate academic disciplines and lived life and personal passion and her own way of being and acting in the world through which she opened up to me a quality that I keenly felt made the room grow larger, but that I couldn't immediately identify as wholeness of being. The multidisciplinarity of the Institute on the Humanities, Arts, and Aging, which I co-directed with Rick, had its origin in this rare quality of Rose. In the life cycle study group that we conducted each month, We explored the fragmentation of modern life, what Weber called the iron cage into which the life cycle was deadlocked, from the purview of the concept of wholeness of being, as it was poetically evoked and psychologically theorized in early modern texts by masters such as Yeats and Jung. And we examined the impact of those canonical works on contemporary aging studies, such as Olney's wonderful book on autobiography, Metaphors of Self. We had the art historian Francis O'Connor come and speak to us about the unfolding of this archetype in the last paintings of a 96-year-old man, something that had a direct bearing on the community programs in the creative arts that we organized throughout the city. Rose, busy as you were, made time to come to these sessions. Your combination of high seriousness, intellectual playfulness, and something I experienced as maternal delight in the kinds of conversation that Brookdale was fostering contributed to making these sessions memorable. Rose gave us a free hand to try things out, inquire into the issues we found compelling, develop new programs. She was hands-on and hands-off as the situation required. She brought us together and catalyzed our collaboration. And she supported our day-to-day efforts with her life gladness, brilliance, ubiquitous awareness, and by her example. At the Institute of Humanities, Arts, and Aging, we were engaged in research on reminiscence and life review, and in designing programs that facilitate this late life process through which elders may attain wholeness of being, aka ego integrity. Among the members of the Institute who were here tonight, it turns out, well, Mark Weiss led writing and reminiscing workshops and life review groups for aging Holocaust survivors. Bob Dish and Arthur Strimling, who was supposed to come and couldn't make it, led pioneering projects in intergenerational oral history, storytelling, and cultural transmission. As a result of our publications and the models we initiated, reminiscence and life review became a standard practice in gerontology. And the heart of it all was Rose. Through her, ideas came to life. She powerfully taught the wholeness of being we were developing in theory and practice by her way of living it in her every act, private and public. In what I personally experienced, I too am telling the initial encounter story. Yeah, that's right. First times is sacred times. In what I personally experienced the first time I met her, and through the years of working closely with her at Brookdale, and in the decades after that, Rose uplifted me, empowered me, was generous in her recognition, and I became more capable as a result. That first encounter ends with her running through the halls of Hunter on her stocking feet, a familiar sight to all of us at Brookdale, calling my name, calling me back into her office for something else she wanted to discuss. Among us, the last word will never be spoken. The conversation will never be finished. She was and remains overflowing, generative, given over to sustaining and enlarging and refining contact. The years I had the privilege and adventure of working at Brookdale are a period like no other in my life, a period rich in relationships and projects that I have carried with me throughout my life. Dear Rose.
Dear Mark.
The summing up. Everyone who is participating in this reunion, both those who are here tonight and those who couldn't be here but are contributing to the book of memory we are collectively writing. Yep. Every one of us loves and honors you for what you have given us personally, but also for how through you we became of use to what Yeats called the larger life, that which is beyond ourselves, to building up the knowledge and caring of the aging in our world. Each of us here knows firsthand your gifted and all-out devotion to Brookdale and its legal training, humanistic, educational, scholarly mission. Your contribution to gerontology, that is, to society at large, is written in each of our hearts.
Oh, Marv. Oh,
I've always felt you're inspired in yourself and you inspire others. You are inspired in yourself and you inspire others. You inspire all of us.
Amen.
Amen. That's what they say in the church, right?
Let the church say it.
Right. We could have 30 amens, and instead of 30 amens, Carolyn will tell us what we want to do next, and then after that, the formal program will end, and we'll go back to our connecting work.
So eloquently put as only he can.
yes.
Right? Each of us has our own rose.
Literally.
And so we wanted to invite each and every one of you, if you want to come and share through an iconic word or phrase your memory, your sense, your ability to capture this woman, and or your experience working with her at Brookdale.
Doesn't have to be as long as Mark.
And I'll give you an example, since I guess it's fair to just start it off.
Yes,
Don't you
it's
think?
fair to
All
start
right,
it off.
all right. So, Rose,
Yes, ma'am.
okay. The iconic words that I think of, that I adore, that I got from you: purpose, and passion. What could be a better legacy from you? And I think that makes it a red rose. And I forgot.
Here we got one.
We have 3 color choices just to make it interesting. Red, purpose and passion. Orange and a kind of a yellow. Let these inspire you.
Pick whatever you want.
So feel free.
Somebody's got to be next.
A word, a
And I'm going to
phrase,
be last.
whatever the spirit moves you.
Yep.
Thank you, baby.
Carolyn, I'm a Jewish woman.
Okay.
Idea of a word.
This just in.
But there's the word.
It's not how we do it. So since I've prepared nothing, I will tell you that in 1971, when I had the privilege and the privilege to watch this woman in a classroom at Hunter School of Social Work, and she said, "It's the one-year residence. We're only allowed to let in 57. There are 4 of you who aren't here."
That's great.
It's true. It's true. And then she said, Steve Hertz, I remember you. Helen Cohn, I remember you at Columbia. And I sat there, 21, 22 years old, and I said, I want to be a name this woman knows. So then I learned about the one-year residency because I was the only person accepted full-time to the 2-year program. But the Veritas, the grant I worked on, came in. We got $250,000. I called up Reva Fine-Holtzman and said, I can't come full-time. She said, well, you can come part-time. I said, can I be a matriculated night student? She said, there isn't such a thing. I said, now there is. True story. So I'm seeing Rose, and I know in a moment I'm with a scholar and a new mother and someone I want to know. 2 weeks later, she's talking about the OIR, the OIR. I don't know what this means. Social workers use all these words. I said, what is that? She said, oh, you want to be in? I said, yeah. She says, we're going to make your blue folder a green folder. I said, that's it? She said, that's it. And it changed my life. And so
There
did
you
you.
go. Give her a rose.
I could go on, but...
Pick a rose, you gotta pick a rose.
A color, pick a
Pick a
color.
color and put it in the vase. That's the ritual here. We're gonna take those flowers home to the apartment tonight.
You dropped a couple.
We'll gather
Put
them
in
all.
4.
Oh, be like that. Get it.
Come on forward, somebody else, and you can say as
She wasn't feeling well.
from her sick bed. Successful aging, resilience, all the good things. Okay. Thank you, Marilyn.
Well, everyone, my name is Joe Garner, and I spent 9 years at Brookdale with Rose, and I would like to make mine a little short, only because it really says it for me. I was so inspired, and I wanted you to know that the way you gave me encouragement to move forward, try things new, come up with new ideas. Don't worry about the road. Keep traveling. You can make it happen. She encouraged me to, and gave me an opportunity to write. I didn't tell you yet, but I have a book coming out in about a month.
I like history books. I like history.
And it started at Brookdale. And I have to say, Rick and Bob Dish were very helpful getting me started. But it was your push that said, try it, do it, you can do it. So I have to thank you for that.
We got it. Good. That's great. We got a little mix of colors. Who else would like to come forward and say something? We want to hear from you. Joanne. Yeah, we got to hear from you.
Isn't her hair wonderful?
So I would fall under the Molly clan because all of Molly's kids grew up at Brookdale. Basically.
That's true. That's true.
I spent over 10 years at Brookdale, and I worked for Sam Sadin for a while, and then I worked with Rose. And I do remember her standing out with her stocking feet going, Rick, Sam, get in my office.
That's it.
Things I remember and things I carry with me through my career is honesty, integrity, and perseverance, and all of those things I learned working with Rose.
Okay.
And yellow is my favorite color,
Somebody's go for you.
so we have to go for yellow.
Yeah.
Or the yellow-orange mix.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yellow is my favorite color, and it's optimistic. And Rose, you were always there for me when I wasn't lucky enough to work with Rose. I followed Rose, and it was the shoes were way too big to follow, but you were so encouraging, and I so appreciate it. I still save the little notes of encouragement you gave me. It was the most really a wonderful 6 years of my life. Because anytime I walked anywhere, worked anywhere, went any conference, any city, and said I was with the Brookdale Center, it was an immediate, oh, come on in! And it was an immediate opening and welcoming. So it's because of you, so thank you.
Oh.
To follow up from what Joanne said, I was there in, I think, the second generation of Law Institute people before it was the Satan Institute.
Yeah, just for the record, because we're having documentation from the
Julia
Federal
Spring.
Witness Protection Bureau here. So just tell us who you are, just for the record.
Julia Spring, I was an attorney with the Institute, which later became the Satan Institute.
Yep.
And I remember those voices saying, Rick, Sam, and the three of you would disappear into a room, and you sounded like you were having so much fun out there. And although I had a lot of fun in my job, I missed taking part of that fun too.
The iconic word, fun.
That's great. That's great.
I'm Molly Muller. I started out at Brookdale as the administrative assistant for the Law Institute. When I left Brookdale, I was the personnel officer, and Rose often called me the director of personnel. So certainly I can think of the word opportunity when I think of Rose, and Sam, of course. But another word that, or I should say another person that I think of when I hear the name Rose, and that name is Alfred. And Rose and Alfred were such a team. And Rose would say, I forgot my umbrella. Alfred didn't tell me it was going to rain today.
He knew a thing or two about weather, too.
So with that in mind, Rose, I want to present you with a yellow rose, my favorite color.
Oh, sweetie.
Okay, and also with a red rose in honor of Alfred's memory.
Oh, thank you, honey.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Beautiful.
So, I think of Brookdale as a place that gave me my voice. Before I came to Brookdale, I would never speak in front of anybody, no matter how much I tried, and I did try. But Alzheimer respite programs really can allow you to say and do whatever you want. But people here said, there's more to you than that. And I think I did. My voice was given to me. I grew. I went on to continue. I'm Harriet Bloomberg, in case people don't know who I am. And now, one of the things I wanted to say was, so in my career path as I've come back to work, I was doing a conference on aging, and who better should I ask, besides I always asked Honey, I asked Rose, could she come and speak in Borough Park to all these Alzheimer people, not Alzheimer, Holocaust survivors, and their families and their children. And what I thought was so wonderful and gracious about when Rose came to do this was we wanted to give her an honorarium, and instead she gave us the donation. And that was really special because it showed them she still cares. And it showed them they could continue. So thank you.
Oh, sweetie.
And I'll pick a red rose because I like the color red.
Hi, Rose. So I'm Andrea Sherman, and actually I worked at Brookdale back in '88 to '90 or so. And I remember that because I had just gotten married in '88, and my maiden name was Andrea Nevins.
The other
And one of the requirements of being given this job by Pat Gilberto was that I immediately take over my married name, which was Sherman.
we had some reasons.
And Andrea Nevins was my supervisor. I mean, the whole thing was completely crazy. 2 gerontologists in one hall, the 8th floor, the 9th floor, something like that. And I remember Rose used to walk up and down the hall yelling, Andrea Nevins, looking for Andrea, and my head was just always spinning. So it was, and then we actually did a training, I can't remember, at some nursing home. I worked in the training department, and we did a training up in a nursing home in New Rochelle, and actually, I don't remember the details, but it was Andrea Nevins, me, Andrea Sherman, and the other Andrea Sherman, who you may know is a dance therapist or art therapist or something. And
it's more complicated. Right.
And we're doing dementia training.
And experiencing it.
And trying to introduce ourselves, and the whole thing was very comical. But another memory I just wanted to share is that, well, I worked mostly with Andrea and Pat and Harry and Marilyn's here and Adele and Eliza. I was just really privileged to work. I don't know if you remember, but Rose asked me to coordinate the first AIDS and Aging conference in New York. I don't know what year that was, maybe 90, I don't know. But it was a really, it was an honor to be invited by Rose to do this, and it was really an honor, it was a privilege to work with you directly on that, because you were on a different floor from me, and so it was a nice opportunity to do that together. And as you all know, Rose has just such an amazing ability to bridge the services. So we were, for the first time, I mean, the AIDS it was pretty new then in terms of the aging and of the patients, and it was like Rose who tried to get all of the professionals from both worlds together in this conference, and it was pretty successful. So anyway.
Oh, sweet.
It's
Thank
nice to
you.
be here.
I was like, some of you know that I work now for an organization where that really has to do with family caregiving. But most of my responsibilities have to do with development. So in so many ways, I've come full circle. From before I came to Brookdale, I worked in home care, and then I did a lot of service things when I worked at Brookdale, which was incredibly exciting because you could just be as creative as you wanted to be, and that was the particularly wonderful part. And the part that I've taken from this now is that even though my main responsibilities are in development, I've learned such a breadth of knowledge about the field that I can say to them, you know what? You're really involved in a lot of best practices here, and maybe we should be doing X. And, here's some of the other issues. I was telling Harriet in the car that I went to see a donor, and she started repeating things, and I just never met her before. I just don't know whether she's, forgetful or she's just quirky or what. So, there's all these ethical issues to consider about whether or not. So I find that there's just a whole range of, certainly my writing skills were born at Brookdale. I feel like it's where I was able to kind of create my vision for the kinds of services that I think are really ideal for people, and that the way that I think that people should understand them. And then when I write about it and when I talk about it now, it's certainly very easy for me to talk about all these services that I want people to support because I'm very passionate about it. And I certainly have been for so many years, and certainly we all shared this together, and that's really a wonderful thing. So I came from an incredibly creative place. I'm in a very creative place now. I had wonderful role models in like you and Pat and Rick, and learned from each and every one of you too. So I'm very grateful for that, and I thank you.
Oh, baby.
And I really do love red ones, but I don't see them.
Put it in a new vase.
Oh, isn't that beautiful?
It is beautiful.
Yeah.
I don't know where you got those roses, Molly. They're gorgeous.
Bob Wolf, and in 1976, and I am not exaggerating the story at all, Rick knows the story. 1976, I'm walking down the hall. I'm in a joint program in law and urban planning on my way to being a zoning and land use lawyer when the secretary says, "Congratulations on your fellowship in geriatrics." Now, this was a major shock to me. So I said, I didn't apply. You certainly did. Go talk to this guy, Rick Moody. He'll explain. Rose applied for my fellowship for me without discussing it with me. And I ended up with a graduate fellowship in geriatrics, which was pretty good. And then I said to Rose, well, now I'm going. Goodbye, because I have this career in zoning and land use law. And Rose said, no, you're not going. I said, no, I have all my training. It's been 4 years in this program. And she said, no, you're staying in geriatrics. And I said, really? And she said, I'm going to introduce you to this man who's going to become your mentor and change your life. I said, Rose, I maybe spent 4 hours with you. How do you know who's going to be the man who's going to change my life? She goes, community council, 12 o'clock tomorrow. Sam Sadin will be there. Sam changed my life completely, and I've been in the field of aging ever since. And I owe it all to this woman who filled out my fellowship without telling me. And is this completely the truth?
It's true. It is all true. It's the ganze Geschichte. It's the whole thing. It's true. It's all true. It's all true. Strange but true.
Multicolored rose, because I'm still confused.
That's good.
She's sick.
I don't want to touch it. I won't get to that. So what can I say? And somewhere around 1978 or 79, I forget exactly when, I got this phone call that said, for Christ's sake, will you fuck get over here already?
That's about it.
That's the word you want. And I said, and she said, now? I quit my job, gave notice, as I recall, and came over to do one of the most exciting things in my life, which was then the nursing home dementia project, right? And I said, well, I'll stay a little while, and then I'll go. And that was 20 years past. And there you are. You're into it being an aging gerontologist yourself, right? So, Rose, what can I say? You're my professional mother. And one of my best friends, and I love you dearly. Thank you.
Oh, baby.
I won't touch it.
I'll
give her a rose. Can I touch it?
You can touch it. It's okay. It's all right. Here, you can put it in my new vase.
Yeah, okay. Ah.
We're not going to.
Yellow.
We'll quarantine the rose.
Quarantine the rose.
We got a few people around the table who we haven't heard.
And I didn't get to Brookdale until the 90s. And I'm just a benefactor of all that this woman has created. I knew who she was from speeches that she had given, and when I worked with a woman named Friedhilde Milburn. And I came to Brookdale first as a student in the certificate program, because I wanted to get to know more about the field and more about the specific problems and challenges that older people had. And I learned so much, and then was recruited for the Elder Hostel program. And it has just been beyond my wildest dreams. You and Rick knew that lifelong learning was a way to keep people young. I thought I was going to work with the elderly, and now I is one. But I can't thank you enough, because you've been an inspiration to me, and I'm just so grateful for all that I've gotten.
Oh, baby.
Thank you.
And I'm giving you a red rose because that's Elder Hostel's color.
Good.
If I can-
On the top, yeah, we got a few left. Yep, right. Put it in. Great.
Baby.
All I have to do, I'm Dan Fish. I was the third senior staff attorney at the Law Institute. All I have to do is just close my eyes, just for a moment, and it is the 9th floor of 425 East 25th Street. This is it. It's frightening, really. It's scary. That's why I said it's scary.
Paul knows that.
I saw the pictures that Joanne Nicholas had, and they don't look. I want them destroyed. I don't think every copy should be destroyed. I'm going to go ahead and give away the color that I'm going to pick. I'm going to pick the yellow rose because when I came to Brookdale, I came from the University of Texas at Austin, so the yellow rose of Texas will be the color that I pick, I still, to this day, do not have the slightest idea how I ever got hired. And I know, I can look at Rick because I was interviewed by Rick. I had done 4 years as a consumer law attorney with the legal services program in Dallas, Texas. So how I ever got the job, I don't know. I'm not asking because I'm afraid somebody will take the job away. But what I'd like to leave with is not the personal stuff. It's the fact that it is so striking, the changes, what the ideas that you had that are in place today are astounding. There are in this country today over 20,000 elder law attorneys, but when we started there was no such word as elder law. I just don't know a greater credit that anybody could give than the vision that you have.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Yellow rose. This one. Running out of space. That's great.
I never worked directly with Rob. I mean, we knew each other, but what I worked with was the trickle down, which was an incredibly improvisatory environment. You could make an absolutely harebrained pitch for an idea, and somebody would go with it. Well, Rick would and Mark would. I had been teaching for years at the college level, as well as being a social worker and a writer, and my teaching was always in fields that I actually knew something about and was actually certified in. But at Brookdale, if I wanted to teach something that I thought I knew something about, but really knew very little about, they'd say, "Okay, give it a try. The worst that could happen is you'll die." So I decided, because I'd been reading around in history of religion for years, right? I could teach a history of religion course. Problem was, I had absolutely no focus. And nothing. I mean, I had no theoretical background, just a bunch of anecdotes. I mean, I could tell you about religious customs in New Guinea, right? So I walk into class, terrified, have a brief discussion, and say, "Okay, we're going to meet next time at the Museum of Natural History. There's an Aztec show." The Aztecs saved my life. The theme of the class became ritual cannibalism. And one of the things, I learned so much at Brookdale, this is something, it's not in any of the books, but I can tell you, elderly Jewish women are fascinated by ritual cannibalism.
Hey, who knew? Who knew?
Right? So I guess I need a red rose.
You're wonderful.
You got to go with the unexpected.
I don't make speeches. I'm just going to give a rose.
That's it. That's it. That's the best speech.
Hello, darling.
That's the best speech of all.
I have to run. Oh, baby.
That's the best speech of all. And anybody else can do the same, whether you have to run or not.
I was here at Brookdale between 80 and 82, I think it was, something like that. And I was brought in to run interference between the Institute and the Research Foundation. And so, in that vein...
That's what you did.
Well, and I worked a lot with Sam Sate, to do that, and we made a few trips over there to do what we could do. But one of the commandments from Rose, it was something like this: don't let myself or Rick spend money we don't have.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Give her a rose. Give her a rose. Give her. Put one in.
Oh, let's go with this.
Have we gotten anybody else would like to? Paul.
I am Paul Fleischman. I started working at the Brookdale Center in 1990. 93. Was it 93? January of 1993. I consider myself one of the kind of the grandchildren of the later Brookdale Center. Rose had sort of just passed the baton to Rick, who I believe was still in the process of being ordained by the president of the college.
Took many years.
Which took many years, a story which we will gladly tell you later outside on the street. Although I'm probably one of the only people in this room who is not really a part of the world of gerontology that Rose created, I came from a background that allowed me to help all of the wonderful people that I have worked with, and those of you, the most important of which, are probably sitting around this table. Rick Moody, of course, Pat Gilberto, who is not here, Sia Arneson, Ellen Rosenzweig, all who were, well, basically brought in by you and what you do. And that gave me the opportunity to be who I was, which is a troublemaker. Molly can attest to that, and I'm sure, where's Mimi? She's here somewhere. Hi, Mimi. There we go. and some other people who I will leave nameless.
We need the trouble.
Thank you. That's what I was going to say. We need troublemakers. And thanks to you, and those phone calls I would get at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon because she couldn't get her, if you pardon the expression, are you going to bleep this?
No.
I couldn't get my computer working.
Oh, sweet.
I feel wanted and useful. And the culmination of everything that I was before I came to Brookdale, you gave me purpose. By allowing me the opportunity to work with such great people as the people I see in this office and in this room, and the people that I work with now. And for that I am eternally grateful. My love.
Very, very. Very, very.
Isn't your shirt wonderful?
Not really talk about. Actually, what I most remember about Rose is that when we did start moving into the Brookdale Center, it was basically still a dormitory. So with each new staff member, another room got opened up further and further down the hall. So there was no intercom except for Rose standing in the front, yelling, "Amy, sweet potato pie!" And that's how you knew. And that's how you knew you had to go down. But I will always be grateful for you because I truly started everything, and you allowed me to grow there. So,
Thank you.
I'm going to take, that's sorry, Billy.
You did good.
No,
Down below.
No, down below.
Pick one,
Okay.
pick a color.
Thank you. I didn't even know I got this.
Gotta put it in there.
You're doing good. I think for those of you who want to continue on, there's an opportunity to write in the guest book there. So lots of opportunity for a written tribute.
Yes.
And I want to say the last word, the final word. How about that? I think in hearing all of this, you must understand that the final word is gratitude.
Yes.
But it's not really a final word because our gratitude to you will never end. Thank you.
Even though that's the final word, it is the final word, I said that I would add one thing, and that is that Rose has been always a teacher. And last year when I came, as I often do, to stay on your couch, because I need a place to stay in New York, I asked you, what are you working on? And you said to me, I'm working on a little article called I've Now Become What I Used to Teach.
What did you say?
And I said, that's brilliant. I said, that's brilliant. And that idea And this is typical of what has happened. You know, you put the stone in the pool and it ripples. And in my last 8 years at AARP, what I have seen in hundreds of institutions around the United States, I've seen nationally what you have done and what you did with this little phrase, I have become what I used to teach. We're now going to make this into an archive. And we've gotten contributions from Jim Barron and Carol Estes and Bob Atchley and on and on and on, Chuck Fahey, people, gerontologists over the age of 70 who have agreed to come forward and say, it's what Mark referred to as the unity of being. You put your finger right on it, because what you represented, what you were, that's what we all need to be in our lives. And the only thing I can say, finally, and I'm so glad that you quoted Yeats, because Yeats is the one who said, now say where man's glory most begins and ends, and say my glory was, I had such friends.
W.A. Jordan.
W.B. Yeats. Whoever it was. Let the rumpus begin. Let's continue. We got plenty of food here. Eat, you gotta eat. And I'm
Did
gonna
you bring your bag?
You know what a baseball fan I am. And one of the great moments in the Yankees was when Lou Gehrig, who died rather soon after, said that he felt that he was the luckiest man in the world. And that's how I feel. You know, I was blessed with a wonderful husband and our 4 daughters and our 4 sons-in-law and our 3 granddaughters and the prince. And the prince says, you shouldn't call me that, Grandma. But the first boy in 3 generations, he's the prince. But
a future client, Mark.
Working with all of you, there's not one of you around this table about whom I don't have sweet and loving and funny memories. Emphasis on the third adjective. I do feel like Lou Gehrig. I was the luckiest person. And we did good work.
Yes, we did. We did.
There isn't one of you sitting around this table who shouldn't be proud of what you and we did together. We had great days.
Yep.
And you were... Alfred said to me one time, they can't be that good. And I said, but they are. But he
was a personnel man.
And let us not forget Sam.
Yeah, we don't forget Sam. We don't forget Sam.
How important he was.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, Sam and I spoke at a meeting, and I didn't know him. We were standing waiting for the elevator, and I said to him, I didn't realize I didn't button my sleeves. I said to him, so what are you going to be when you grow up? And he said, let's talk about me and Brookdale. And we did. And the contribution that Sam made, you all know, was just extraordinary. We were so lucky to be colleagues of Sam's. The Law Institute was, of course, the center of his professional life, but he he was an indispensable part of our history. I look around and I have the sweetest memories of all of you. And I thank you so much for, I was the luckiest person in the world because of you, and I thank you. And let's keep up the good fight.
That's right, that's right.
We got work to do.
That's right.
And I thank you so much for this evening. Whose idea was it?
It just hatched.
Manny? Manny, thank you.
It's the least
I
I
look
could
around
do.
the table. You are all something. And we had great days, and you will go on and have great days in the days to come. Because you're very special people, each of you. There isn't anybody around this table whom I don't love and respect and expect great things from. All of you.
Could you fill out an application for
And a toast to Sam.
Yes.
Giant.
Yep.
And there is more drink and food to be had.
Let's go for it.
Let's go for it. Okay.
We're not leaving.
Kindness and goodness.
Yes, true.
And he is Aziz in the Neshama, a sweet soul. And I feel blessed by this
And we can support group. I have one man comes because we haven't done enough PR for it, but that's a whole nother story. I get an 86-year-old guy. He's coming with the paper. I said, "Who are you caring for?" He said, "Nobody." But I thought there'd be some good ladies here, and maybe I could.
Then it was last summer when he went off to Maine that he said he was.
I'm just documenting.
You're such a good guy.
Yeah.
This would have document. Well, you know.
Oh, Manny, come on.
We'll cut that.